Some of the most serious injuries after a crash don't show up right away. Soft tissue injuries like whiplash, herniated discs, concussions, and even internal bleeding can take hours or even days to fully appear. You might walk away from the crash feeling okay, only to wake up 2 days later barely able to move your neck or back. But if you didn't go to the doctor immediately, or at least within a couple of days, documenting that injury becomes a problem. Why? Because now the insurance company has a window to argue something else caused your pain. Maybe you slipped at home, maybe you slept funny, maybe you're making it up. You know that's not true, but personal injury claims aren't about what's true. They're about what you can prove. And if you didn't get your injuries properly documented from right after the crash, you've lost the most powerful evidence in your case, a medical record linking the accident to your injury. Let's go back to PIP for a moment. Florida is a no-fault state, which means your own car insurance pays for your initial medical expenses and lost wages, regardless of who's caused the accident. That's what PIP is for. But there's a catch. PIP doesn't automatically pay the full $10,000 unless you've been diagnosed with what's called an emergency medical condition, or EMC. Here's how it works. You get into a crash and you go to a hospital, urgent care, or a doctor within 14 days. That's very important. If that medical provider determines you have an EMC, or an emergency medical condition, then your PIP insurance can cover up to $10,000. But if your condition is deemed non-emergency, or if you don't get that diagnosis, you may be capped at just $2,500. That difference, it can mean the difference between getting follow-up care like physical therapy or MRIs, or you having to pay it all out of pocket. And if you skip the doctor entirely, you get nothing, zero. And that's how fast skipping treatment after a crash can bankrupt you. Here's what insurance adjusters love: someone who didn't see a doctor for 3 or 4 weeks after an accident, because now they've got everything they need to deny or devalue your claim. They'll argue your injuries aren't real, or they weren't caused by the accident, or you're exaggerating them. And unfortunately, that strategy often works. In the case of Rodriguez versus Geico, a Florida appellate court upheld an insurer's denial of benefits in part because of a gap in treatment. That's how seriously courts and juries take this stuff. I personally had cases where the client waited just a little too long to go to urgent care, or even though we had imaging and a clear treatment plan later, the delay allowed the defense to raise enough doubt to shave tens of thousands of dollars off the settlement offer. And remember, the insurance company isn't arguing in court. They're building a file from day one, interviewing witnesses, reviewing medical records, and combing through your social media. If they can paint a picture that you weren't really hurt or didn't take your injury seriously, they will. Let's step back for a second. This isn't just about the legal side. Skipping medical care can also make your injuries worse. I've seen clients who delayed their treatment thinking their pain would go away, only to find out themselves needing surgery months later. By that point, not only is your health worse, but your case is harder to prove. A good doctor can catch injuries early, help prevent long-term damage, and create a clear medical trail that connects the accident to your treatment. Plus, early documentation helps your attorney. If you come to me with strong medical records from day one, I have leverage. I can negotiate from a position of strength. If you wait and only start treatment after your pain gets unbearable, I'm already playing catch up. And let's not forget, Florida juries are made up of regular people. They don't have medical training usually. They rely heavily on timing and documentation. If there's a big delay in care, it creates reasonable doubt, even if you're being 100% honest. A lot of folks ask me, what exactly counts as medical treatment under the 14-day rule? Well, that's a good question. It has to be a qualified medical provider. It can be a medical doctor, chiropractor, dentist, hospital, or even an urgent care center, so long as they're licensed and the visit is related to your accident. You can't just tell your friend who's a nurse about your sore back. That doesn't count. Also, it has to be documented. If you go to the ER and don't mention the car accident and they don't write it down, you may still run into issues. The connection between the crash and the injuries needs to be in the record. And ideally, it should be the primary reason you are seeking care. So if you're not sure where to go, just start somewhere. Urgent care, your primary care doctor, even a walk-in clinic. The point is, get checked out and have it documented properly. Another reason people delay care is because they're worried about the cost. They don't have health insurance, they think they can't afford an ER visit. But here's what most people don't realize. Florida's PIP coverage is required if you own a registered vehicle. So if you were driving your own insured car at the time of the accident, you already have coverage. It's baked into your own policy. And if you were a passenger or hit while walking or biking, you might still qualify under another household member's PIP policy or through the at-fault driver's coverage. Don't assume you have to pay up front. A lot of providers in Florida will treat you on a letter of protection, which means they'll wait until the case is over before they get paid. Here's the bottom line. Don't wait because you're worried about money. That decision can cost you far more in the long run, both medically and legally. If you're watching this and you've recently been in an accident but haven't gotten checked out, stop what you're doing, find a local medical provider, and go in today. Tell them exactly what happened and what symptoms you're experiencing, even if they seem minor. Every day you wait increases the risk that your injuries won't be taken seriously by the insurance adjusters, defense attorneys, or possibly jurors. Even if you feel fine, let a medical professional make that call, not your adrenaline or your pride. And when you do seek care, keep track of everything: bills, notes, referrals, prescriptions, follow-up appointments. That becomes your case's foundation. Don't let it slip away. So let's recap. Skipping the doctor after a Florida car accident can destroy your ability to access PIP benefits, gives the insurance company ammo to deny your claim, makes it harder to prove your injuries, and risks worsening your condition over time. Whether it's a sprain, a concussion, or just stiffness in your neck, don't wait. Go. If this video was helpful, please hit the like and subscribe button to see more of my content. And if you would like to schedule a consultation or want to learn more, click the first link in the description. See you over there.